I guess I'm going to start the podcast today by saying hello. Good morning to the people who wake up at 4 a.m. to listen to Carlie's Couch. I'm right there with you every week on Mondays. But sometimes I'll be getting some gems from myself and from Carlie that are like hitting right on time. So actually, sometimes I feel like we should go back a little bit and maybe revisit, like see if anything's changed from how we felt about some of them. We talked about that in the 52nd episode, so I kind of think we really should do that.
We should. I like that, and like maybe how we've grown through something that we were struggling with at the time. Like even our first real episode from the stuff we were dealing with then till where we are now. I think it's interesting, and I also re-listened to the one from last week and got all kinds of gems on boundaries.
The boundaries.
Oh my God, all the gems.
Wait, so this is 54?
Yeah. I was like, hold on, 53 plus 1.
And
Not
for
fast
our
math.
54th episode,
Dun, 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 dun.
we're going to talk about 4 mindfulness techniques for when you're feeling stressed, when you're feeling anxiety. Just how do you just calm down? Because, you know, it's a lot of stress in our lives, and I feel like a lot of people kind of live overstressed and almost to where that's the norm, so you don't even know what it feels like to be relaxed sometimes. But yeah, we have our mindfulness expert here, Carlie Carpio. Actually, I would like for you to talk a little bit about like mindfulness in your work and how you even use these things with, like, for example, in business, you know what I mean? Like not for yourself, not love and light in the morning, but you know what I mean? Like what is your expertise like? Tell us why we should pay attention to you when you're talking about mindfulness.
So whether we're in business or whether you're a child in school, wherever you are, you're still a human and you still have trauma and stress and crazy thoughts and things that you're dealing with, whatever it is, from friends, family, from your day-to-day, just processing things. And so mindfulness is a way to help you tune into your body and realize like how you feel, and then also kind of help you to de-escalate or to just be more present. Because sometimes you can be so caught up in your thoughts that you're not present. Like we could be talking, but I'm like stressing about this, and did I pay that bill, and did I email that person, and I don't hear a word that you say. Now, if you think about how that affects you with your partner, with your kids, with your job. Like if you're in a meeting and you're supposed to be listening, but all you can think about is everything else going on. So mindfulness, it gets this like fluffy, like Hufflepuff type of like really soft.
Like it doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, like it's not a hard
thing.
skill, but I would say like the most mindful people, the people that they call geniuses, are people who honed or mastered themselves. And so I think mindfulness is a way to master yourself.
And I was just laughing because I was thinking about how when I watch the YouTube videos back, how I'm like, you be talking or I'll be talking, and the other one's like, man, like, but that was a great explanation on mindfulness. But what I want to hear from you is your background and the context for you knowing about mindfulness and like your certification and how you work with people with mindfulness.
Perfect. So I discovered mindfulness around the same time I did yoga. Like that was the only way I could meditate. And I thought meditation was the only way to be mindful. And so that's what I was working on for a long time, is yoga and meditation. After my yoga teacher training, I realized that the mindful part of yoga, the part that brought me to be most present with myself, I really enjoyed. And I was like, I want to learn more about this. And so I started reading more books and researching. And then I actually got a certification for dynamic mindfulness. So that's mindfulness in motion. So through movement, through breath, through different things. And it teaches you how to work with teachers, how to work with stressed out staff, business people, how to work with kids, and different ways to introduce the scientific aspects of mindfulness to kind of take off some of the stigma that surrounds it. Because a lot of people hear mindfulness and they think spirituality and things like that. And so I've done a lot of research on the scientific side to help break down any of those stigma, like barriers that people might have to, like their aversions to doing something that's quote unquote mindfulness.
Are there different styles of practicing it? For example, like how, you know, when you say meditation, there are the different types where you can chant or you do this or you do that. With mindfulness, is it like a broad thing, or is it like you can get certified to do this kind of mindfulness, this kind, that kind?
You can get certified to do anything. And so there are many different sects of mindfulness, many different ways that you can get certified. But just like yoga, it's like there's this huge umbrella, but there's like hot yoga and yin yoga and restorative and vinyasa.
And that's just like somebody who practices like saying, hey, this is my program, and putting it together, right? And then it just grows.
Yeah, typically
So it's not really like...
No, a lot of them are people like Bikram is named after a person. And
it's almost like that's their brand.
That's like their brand
program
and
they
their
created.
exactly. Like there's a lot of those out here, but some of these mindfulness techniques and different breathing techniques and things date back to ancient Sanskrit texts. And so some of them are actually not people's brands, but some of them are. But dynamic mindfulness was created by the Niroga Institute. And so that is kind of their thing, but they're pairing motion and mindfulness in a very scientific way, which is really cool.
You know what I think could be cool? And maybe this exists. I should Google it. I wonder if there is like a mindfulness and that goes with perhaps different religions. Like maybe it's like Christianity and mindfulness and pulling out. Because there's like verses around like being still, you know, or... how to be when you're in prayer or whatever, right? And when you break down certain things, you could be like, okay, that's really some of these techniques. I wonder if there is like correlations, because anytime I've looked back at like ancient civilizations, things like that, like you said, they all have these same types of practices. So it's almost like it's really innate, or it's something that we've been doing for the longest. But I think it's more of our culture, and not just American culture, but as our cultures move faster and are more tech infused, I feel like we are just like more all over the place, and we don't push in societies that push achievement and individuality. We don't necessarily push mindfulness.
Yeah, and we don't. And it's like, well, how can you be so high achieving if you don't know how to take care of yourself? But I mean, that's a whole other soapbox for a different episode. But I think, the system works exactly how it's supposed to, and keeping us high achieving, but also sick and not taking care of ourselves, so we can keep paying into big pharma and into all of those things.
Yeah, it's all kind of a cycle.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Okay, so I wanted to clarify for the listeners, like Carlie's background in it, because she's coming more so from somebody who's learned about it, studied it, and does this with herself and with other people. And for me, I am a practicing person who's learning these things and practicing them. So I don't necessarily know the history of all of these and things like that, but I'm going to talk more to how I have tried different things.
Well, can I ask, have you always been a practicing person with these type of things? Like, what led you to start trying to practice these? Yeah.
I didn't even know what the word mindfulness probably was, so like maybe last year. So like if somebody said that, I would common sense like, you know, pull something together of what it was, but I didn't know like do a body scan or do this or that until I started meditating with like the apps and seeing those different things in there. For me, I think it's just I noticed that I was just always kind of stressed, or kind of always in my head, like always talking, having conversation. And we're always talking anyway, but it's like the conversation's always about stuff to do, or maybe it's obsessive thoughts about something in the past, or, you know, whatever, right? Feelings that make my body feel anxious, and my chest might feel tight. Like that's how my body reacts when I'm stressed. My chest will get tight. I'll be irritable or whatever. And so I know I'm feeling kind of stressed, and it's just like I want to calm down, or I just want to feel more relaxed overall. And so that's why I try to pay attention to the different techniques and like the meditation apps, and why I figured it'd be good to talk about a couple of them so you guys can try them as we talk about them.
Yeah, and some of these like are through apps that I've like learned about or experienced, similar to what Lex was saying, but also these are some things that people get taught in workshops. So like I've worked with a lot of like big companies and go in and do workshops and help them like learn how to be mindful and de-stress. And so these are really important, like no matter where you are, like entrepreneur, whether you're working in corporate, if you work with kids, especially because you and your kids need it. This is, you know, things that you can try and figuring out what works for you. I realized that since I've started my mindfulness practice, different things have worked at different times. Like sometimes I can't just sit still and meditate. Sometimes it takes different things.
That is true. And you don't have to wait till you feel stressed or whatever to be mindful. So it's almost like being mindful is something we say we practice so that it's becoming a part of just your your daily, you know, part of your life. Like you're paying more attention to how you're acting. You're paying more attention to how you feel, essentially.
Yeah, and it's like exercise. It's like you don't do it once, and that's kind of it. It's like a practice. It's proactive, so it helps you, you know, be able to respond sometimes in situations and have a pause where you might not have had one before, or whatever.
I like that. It's like it changes your instincts.
Exactly.
From the instincts you typically have to now we're switching gears to be more thoughtful and controlled and like aware.
Exactly. And that's why the practice of mindfulness is so you can get there, because you can't just do it one time like, oh man, that felt great, because it's not always going to feel good. And I think
it's
that's
not
also where
something you
people
have to
get
think
caught
about all the time either. Once you're kind of used to it and you're doing it. Okay. So let's start up with the base then. We say, like, you don't have to be stressed to do it, but we want to focus on, like, when you're feeling stressed, you might need some kind of relief right then. Like, what are some things you can do? What are some things you can start to practice in the mornings or in the evenings to just lower that overall? So, Carlie, why is it that this is even a thing? Like, why does it matter? Like, if we're stressed, like, obviously the world is crazy. We have bills to pay. We have places to be, things to do. But why is that not a good thing?
So scientifically, I'm trying to remember who did the study. I'll try to remember. But
you talked about it before. We talked about an episode
but
before.
it makes you like more dumb. Like,
oh, we didn't talk about that.
It makes you less more dumb. It makes you less smart. So, for example, if you would test at this average and you're stressed, it drops. So in a very thing, you go into this test and you're like, why don't I remember this answer? I freaking know this question. Has that ever happened?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
like
and it's because you're stressed. And if you ever notice when you're in stressful situations, like everything tenses and you tend to make more mistakes. You tend to drop things, be rushing, doing different things that you normally wouldn't do. So on a very base level, dragging myself. On a base level, being stressed out makes you less capable. And those are my terms. That's not from the study. But like, because it makes you, you know, a little bit less intelligent, a little bit all of these things. Because what your body is doing is trying to protect itself, because humans are one of the only animals, I'm not going to say the only, because I'm sure there are other things out there, but are one of the only animals that can completely put our body into this state of fight or flight when there's no real imminent danger. For example, you can be lying in your bed, scrolling Instagram, something triggers you, and all of a sudden you're in fight or flight. And you're like, wait, your body's not in actual danger. But back in the day when we used, like, whatever you believe in evolution, back in the day, there used to be dinosaurs and big animals and things chasing us. And so our fight or flight was meant to preserve our lives. Consider that now most people actually live in a state of fight or flight. And so if you're driving in traffic in LA and somebody cuts you off, you slam on your brakes, your whole body tenses up. Now you're angry and probably cursing at them. Then you carry this with you all day, so your body's not able to relax. When you're not able to relax, your body can't rest or digest. So if you think about this, like long term, it leads to a lot of adverse health effects, heart things, stomach things. Like it just hurts your body.
It's like you're overworking yourself
all the time. So your body's always on 110% operation because it's trying to protect itself from dying when a lot of the times the threats aren't real. And so if you don't ever give yourself a chance to rest, digest, to reset, it's like, how can you be your best self?
Yeah, and one thing I feel like I just really connected maybe in the last week for myself with that is when you're feeling tired and drained all the time, like if you're feeling that way, it just hit me. I was like, I think it's my brain is like doing too much because I'm thinking too much, overthinking, or, you know, like whatever, like it's just doing too much, and maybe my mind is stressing. I feel like that was making like me tired. Like that really is like draining your energy. Not necessarily like everything else. Like it might not be my diet or working out or whatever else I'm doing, but like literally I'm just like overworking myself inside. And I think that's interesting too about being dumber, because that's almost like you're just not paying attention. Like when you're out and about and you're just not paying attention. So that's when you trip. Or with me, like I will like run into stuff in my own house just because I'm trying to, and I know I'm thinking about too many things. I know I'm thinking about the next thing. So I'm like doing too much. And I constantly have to say like, all right, like slow down. Like once I start dropping stuff and once you drop one thing, like everything else starts getting crazy.
And then you get upset.
But I never thought of that as feeling stressed per se, but it is an anxious mind, I guess.
Exactly. And that's like how it affects your physical, like even your motor skills, like in a real thing, like walking, tripping, like all of these things, running into stuff, like your spatial awareness, like it starts to affect all of our things because our bodies are just trying to survive, but our minds are doing too much.
Okay. What was this about the environment? Anything else with stress?
So so the reason why I'm a proponent of mindfulness and of learning to be aware in these situations is because sometimes like we can't change our environment. The only thing we can change is ourselves. So for example, like if you love your job, but it is a lot, like it's really stressful, or, you know, you have kids and they are stressful, or you have to drive to get places. Like you can't change those variables. The only thing you can change is yourself. And so mindfulness is a great way to be proactive and not just reactive to all of these external stimuli that happen every single day that you can't control.
So it's about controlling your responses to things.
Yeah, or giving yourself a toolkit to have more thoughtful responses, to have more educated responses, and ways to tune in with your body to figure out what's going on. So you're saying you just made that connection about having an anxious mind and realizing that you're doing too much. Like imagine how that affects your work and your relationships and other things.
Right. And the thing is with these 4 techniques that we're going to talk about, like they really do help, I think. When you're doing them or when you're starting with them, it kind of feels like you're just doing something kind of like not forcing it, but you're trying to make a thing happen. But I notice like the more I will do like the guided techniques and stuff like through Headspace or Calm, that then in real life, I do like stop and I'll do those things. I'll do these things. So I do catch myself doing them. And really, it's always just a reminder like, Lex, that thing doesn't matter. It's typically that, like at the end of the day, it's like a stop to whatever that thing is I'm thinking about. And it doesn't have to be deep. Like what we're talking about doesn't mean it has to be like something wild, like crazy stuff happening in your life. But even just, you know, something that you have a deadline Thursday and you might, you know, you're just thinking about it. And it's like, that's not really a problem right now. So kind of just continually doing that lets you feel like more relaxed, like things are fine. Like in this moment, this is good, and you know I need to do this, I need to do that, but what do I need to be doing right now? If it is that, then doing it is the only way to kind of de-stress that. But for the most part, I think they do really work.
They do, and it's what it is a process of retraining your body. So we've been living this certain way for however old you are, and so
you're on automatic.
Exactly. So you're on automatic, and so for me, I like to be good at things. And so when I first start, I'm frustrated. So when I first started being mindful, I was like, I keep thinking about other things. Like I'm not relaxed. Like I was like judging myself for all these things because I expected it to be a certain way when really it's just a practice. And you got to be willing to practice and not be good at it, even though you are good at it.
And I'm glad you said that too, because I believe, correct me if I'm incorrect, but that the point of the mindfulness is not judging anything.
Exactly.
It's literally just being aware of it. So if you are having those other thoughts while you're trying, while you're trying to understand or learn these techniques, it's just, oh man, like I'm feeling frustrated, like you don't go down that rabbit hole. So can we go ahead and just get started with them?
Yeah, let's do it.
So the first one, and I was doing this one this morning of the morning recording this, so that's why it's still a little bit fresh in my head. But the first technique is called noting, Noting. And thinking, like I'm doing it right now. So what it is you, as you're going throughout your day, or if you're specifically meditating and chilling, I'll take that as the context to make it simpler. Let's say I'm sitting here and I'm trying to take 5 minutes just to relax and kind of meditate. Noting is when your brain does start to think about something else, or if you're distracted, or something kind of takes you away from you in this moment trying to just chill and do what you're doing. Noting it is saying, okay, I'm thinking this. So what they say, like in the Headspace app, is thinking and feeling. So, sometimes if you try to be still, like do it right now. Like if you try to be still, all of a sudden, like something's gonna start itching, like your nose, I swear, like your nose starts itching, or like you start to feel something, and it's like your body's telling you, like, do something now. Like, I dare you. Get me lit, I dare you. And so it's like feeling, like my knee is itching, like I feel that. But like just noting it, note that you feel that, but you don't have to worry about it right now. Having a thought about something, oh man, this deadline coming up. Okay, you're thinking about what you're doing right now, and now you think about something in the future, and it's, okay, I'm thinking about that. Like, that's not what I'm trying to think about right now. And so noting is literally, and I want Carlie to add to it, but noting is literally just recognizing that your focus has shifted, but catching it and then saying, like, I don't have to see that right now. I don't have to worry about that right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right? Right
Yeah.
enough?
Yeah. It's just catching things, like I imagine, much like the Headspace animation, like little things popping up. So, I'm trying to meditate, and then this deadline pops up. Like, okay, I thought about that. Oh man, I felt a little anxious. I haven't finished this thing. The thing that people do is you try to note everything, because our brains are like, oh, you caught those 3 things. Well, here's 103 things. And so you're like,
if you're trying to like, it makes you almost try to think more about it.
Exactly. And you don't have to catch everything, but just note the big things. And for me, it's also noting when I'm trying to be present, where is my mind going? Like, where does it, because it kind of goes somewhere. And then what does that mean to me? So if I'm trying to be still and then my mind keeps thinking about like work stuff and, oh, I didn't finish this and I need to do this. I'm like, oh, so, I might have some anxiety or something around work right now. And you're just being conscious and just noting what pops up for you, not doing anything with it, not judging it, not getting mad at yourself, and not trying to catch every single thing that pops up, but just being aware. Yep. So that's one I really like. One that I also love to do with clients, like when I'm teaching classes, to help bring you into your body. Because a lot of times when we're stressed, it manifests physically, like Lex mentioned, like her chest might get tight. Like for me, my breath gets shallow. I might start to clench my jaw, or my shoulders might start to creep up and be up here.
Your shoulders probably like this right now, listeners.
Exactly.
Them joints be all the way up in your damn neck.
So let's do a quick little body scan here. If you're driving, do not close your eyes. But if you're seated, just gently close your eyes or soften your gaze. Sit up as tall as you can, stacking your head.
So you're doing a body scan?
Yep. Do a mini one. Stacking your head over your neck, over your shoulders, all the way down to your seat. Take a big inhale through your nose. Big exhale out of your mouth. And then just starting at the top of your head, noticing what you feel, going down to your forehead, noticing if you have any stress or tension in your brow, gently releasing it, continuing down to your jaw, noticing if your jaw is tense, releasing your jaw, removing your tongue from the roof of your mouth if you find it there, rolling down to your neck, making sure your neck doesn't have to be in any certain way, just kind of letting it be wherever it is, continuing down to your shoulders, just noticing what you find, noticing how they feel, noticing how your chest feels as you inhale, and noticing how it feels falling as you exhale. Noticing how your belly feels on the inhale and on the exhale. Noticing how it feels where your hips are connecting to your chair. Continuing down your thighs, on the top for your quads, circling around the back for your hamstrings. Just noticing what you find. Continuing down to your knees, sending them some love. They work hard all day. Continuing on to your calves. And then rolling down your Achilles through the back of your heel and up the arch of your foot, starting at your pinky toe and then ending all the way through your toes at your big toe. And just sitting here for a moment just to notice how your body feels physically. Noticing where you are mentally, not how you want to feel, not how you should feel, but how you actually feel in this moment without judgment. And then whenever you're ready, gently blink open your eyes.
So when you did the body scan, what did you feel?
I noticed that, my back is a little bit sore from working out. So I noticed that I have a little bit of tension there. I noticed that I was trying to keep my belly pulled in and that I could release it. Like I don't have to do that. I noticed that my shoulders were trying to roll down my back because I work on posture. It's like so little things that I'm not aware of that my body is doing in the moment. And not until I get there and I'm like, oh, I can release that. Like I don't always have to be all held together how I think I should.
Yeah, I actually love the body scans now because they always catch me slipping. I like from the head to the shoulders mostly because like even though it's coming, or I know it's coming now that I do it, right? So you start out and you're relaxed, but it's like you think you're relaxed, but then it's like, fuck. Like every time she gets to release your tongue, you're like, damn, that joint was way up here. But you don't think about it. And you're like, it's like you're learning like, oh, I can relax that. Like, and you feel like you're melting as you go down because you're like, oh, like this was tight and I just didn't even realize it. So that's why I love like the just whole like thinking to release your shoulders and like relax your jaw, just even throughout the day. So like a very mini one for me is like my reminder just when I like see my Post-it note, just like release my forehead and my jaw and my shoulders. And literally anytime I look at it, I need to do it. But as long as I'm kind of always thinking that, like catching it and doing it, it is very much just relaxing. So I just love how it always catches you and kind of let you realize, like, how do things feel? Where you feel the tingling or the soreness or whatever, and, you know, just paying attention to your body.
Yeah, and I love Lex's Post-it reminder. And so I'll challenge y'all to maybe set a reminder around lunchtime or when you know you're driving home, like, to release your jaw,
right there.
to relax your forehead. Exactly.
Jaw, forehead, shoulders.
So jaw, forehead, shoulders today. Like, relax it. Maybe do a couple shoulder rolls. Just be present in your body. And it does kind of help de-escalate. So whenever you're able to unclench your jaw and relax, it lets your body know, like, hey, I'm safe. Like, I'm okay.
And maybe it's more helpful if you haven't done that before to listen to the guided. Because like when Carlie does it or somebody else does it, it's easier to do it at first because they're telling you like, oh, check that, check this. If you feel this, it's okay. You know, and it kind of helps you to understand what you're supposed to be doing. But I think now I can kind of like just go through and let it melt out and de-stress. Also, she said that was a mini one, but I think probably just because it was a little quick. But sometimes they just draw it out a little more. You're spending a little more time in each space. Like it's not like pay attention to your eardrums. Like it doesn't have to get more intense like that, but it's just kind of slower, how much time you want to take with it. But I think you get the general idea, hopefully, of what a body scan is. So that's a quick way to release anxiety. And I guess it kind of reminds your body that you don't have to be in fight or flight.
Exactly. And it helps you relax out of it. So even if you are in fight or flight, like if you are signaling to your body, like I'm safe enough to relax all the tension out of my body, like we're not in fight or flight. And your body's like, oh, bet, we can relax.
The more you say that, the more I like that you're reminding yourself that you're safe. That really is like all this is. You're reminding yourself that you're safe, that you're fine. That there isn't really any problems right now.
Yeah, no imminent threats. You can relax. There's no dinosaur chasing you. And if there is, keep that away from us.
Right. The next third mindful technique is breath work. So breathing and breathing exercises. Man, I don't really like breathing exercises. I don't really know why. I just don't like doing it. But they can be very strenuous. Like I've seen, I can't think of the person's name. I know on the School of Greatness, Lewis Howes had interviewed somebody who does is a breathing exercise person. And literally, like, people will be out of breath and, like, sweating doing these techniques. Yep. And that might not make sense to you listening, but, like, to really control and, you know, faster or fuller and, you know, different rhythms and things of breathing, it really is a skill. Like, it really is an exercise. Another thing I like about breathing outside of thinking of it really as an exercise is that your blood and your body and your brain needs oxygen. And before I really heard about like breathing exercises, one quick key that I had learned about was when you're feeling tired or fatigued, like if you're at your office or in the desk or whatever, if you quickly do like, and I look super crazy if you watch that, but like if you do like quick breaths, it's almost like you're recharging like oxygen to your brain and it like wakes you up real quick. So simple things like that. But outside of that, there are like just other techniques, just whatever you like. Carlie's done a few different ones when we've like spoken at places and done things. So if you have more about it that you want to say first and before you kind of show like an example.
Okay, so I was going to say that it's crazy. So when I first started doing yoga, I was there for the poses, which are the asanas, the postures, the things you can physically see. That is one limb of 8 of yoga. Breathwork is another. And last, one of the most important is actually the breathing. So it's not the postures. It's, are you able to maintain your breath while you're in those poses? And so it's like, no matter what life puts you in, essentially, you know, you're able, no matter what contorted, crazy positions, how hard, whatever, you're still able to maintain your peace, your life force, your prana. And sorry, I clicked out of the thing. And it's wild how deep these things go. Cause I'm like, oh, there's probably just a couple different types of breath work. But no, like you said, there are literally one of my friends did one and he was saying it hurt so bad. He was like, it literally hurt to breathe the way they were teaching them. And what it was doing was helping them release trauma. And which is a whole other episode, but I think it's really cool. And I think humans use like maybe 60 to 70% of their lungs, if that. And if you smoke, probably less.
Don't. Yeah,
I was about to say probably less.
I don't know what she's trying to say, but
not that.
Personally, I know I'm a shallow breather because a lot of people breathe shallow. I'm a shallow breather, so even going up steps and like doing things like that, I'm always out of breath. And I have hyper elongated lungs, so they only like a little bit of the carbon dioxide comes out at a time. Like, so I have to really like be breathing a lot anyway. So I just think it's interesting that I probably don't even take as well like regular ass breaths like as I should, but to do these is just a good reminder to like actually work this whole area out, honestly.
Exactly. And it feels good to breathe a little bit deeper, but scientifically it helps with the parasympathetic nervous system, because if you're able to breathe deeper and slow down your breath, it signals to your body that you're safe and that you're okay. And so breath work has actually been probably my favorite mindfulness technique, because it literally, even if I'm angry and I'm like, I don't want to do this, I'm like frustrated and like had a terrible day, whatever, and I'm cursing all these things. If I breathe, like even my body will calm down and I'd be like, you know what? I was tripping.
That's when I start to do more automatic now. Like as soon as I start feeling a little stressed, then just stop and just have a few breaths, like not extra dramatic, but like have a few breaths and you do feel better already.
So I'm going to guide you guys through a couple of breaths, and then
we're not going to breathe all in the mic, guys. Don't worry. I'm going to slide mine over a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not going to breathe in the mic either, but I'll guide you through a couple of breaths. Like I said, if you're driving, please don't close your eyes. And if you're not, maybe you can, if that feels comfortable to you, but sit up as tall as you can. We'll take a big clearing breath. Big inhale through your nose. Big exhale out of your mouth. And then begin to inhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4.
Sorry, guys. Somebody's FaceTiming me right in the middle of the breath work.
Every time. Last time the thing fell.
But I unhooked my iMessage.
I don't understand. Okay, so we're going to do that again. So close your eyes. Take a big clearing breath. Big inhale through your nose. Really big exhale out of your mouth. And begin to inhale through your nose for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding your breath at the top, just for a moment, noticing how your body feels filled with air. And then begin to exhale through your nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding at the bottom, noticing how your body feels in between breaths. Begin to inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Exhaling through your nose for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding at the bottom. Thinking about the area right below your belly button. Trying to breathe in right into that area for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding the breath at the top. And then beginning to exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding at the bottom. Making this next breath the biggest breath you've taken all day. Begin to breathe in below that belly button for 1, 2, 3, 4. Holding at the top. Try to sip in just a little bit more air. And then exhale all the air out of your body for 4, 3, 2, 1. Gently allow your breath to return to normal. And if your eyes are closed, gently blink them open. And so slowing down your breathing signals to your body that you're safe, and it helps you de-escalate from fight or flight scientifically, even if you're still angry, you're still in whatever state, still anxious, any of those things. It just helps your body kind of relax so that you can think a little bit more clearly and process. And if you're like, Carlie, I don't have time to do all these breaths, I'm frustrated, just try to breathe a little bit deeper and try to make your exhales longer than your inhales. So, for example, if you're breathing in for 3 counts, try to breathe out for 6 and slow it down. Like that is the signal that turns off that nervous system that helps you rest and digest and relax. So if anything, just remember to try to make your exhales longer than your inhales.
What's the reason behind that?
Because it actually like signals to your nervous system that it's okay. Like that's a scientific thing. If your exhales are longer than your inhales,
it's signifying
that you're
what
safe and that you're okay, and it takes you out of that fight or flight. So if you don't have time for a really big thing, like if you're in a meeting or you're about to present or something, just do a couple rounds of 3 and 6 or 4 and 8 in your breathing, and you'll be good to go.
And then what is the purpose of holding it and like doing it in like the stages?
Oh, it's just observation, noticing how your body feels filled with those things. And they do different things, like they say spiritually, like the Richaka, and then I forget what the other one is, but the top of a breath and the bottom of a breath signify very different things. Like it goes deep, like it's a huge, and I am no expert, like I am new to these, but I actually really love breath work.
Okay. And then the fourth technique when you're feeling stressed or anxious is observation.
And what that looks like for me, this was taught when I was at USC. They have a free mindfulness program for students. So if you're a student or a grad student or something at USC, it's called Mindful USC. And it was actually created by one of the professors in the B school. And he is, I'm going to call him a spiritual guru. I don't think he would call himself that, but in the lineage of people who are mindful, like it was passed on to him and he was allowed to, open up this mindfulness center. And so, when I was in there and I was doing their free 6-week program where you can learn about mindful eating and mindful walking and all of these like beginner's mind, all of these like cool mindful subjects, there was one that they called listing, but it's observation. So if you're ever feeling like you're completely overwhelmed and you're trying to bring yourself back into this moment and you're looking out in front of you, you literally start listing the things that are physically in your space. So it would be like Lex, like microphone, window, table, plant, flower, like you're literally doing
let's
that.
Let's not give the whole layout.
I'm not. I skipped a lot of things. But thinking about those
Key
things.
under the mat.
The code is.
All right.
The
Door code.
Blink twice.
Like relax.
The address. So if you're looking, you can start to label the things that are out in front of you or like the colors of the things. So like white, purple, tan, black, like looking at all of those things. And it's just helping you physically bring you back to the space. Like if you're sitting on a bench, it'll be like tree, squirrel, person. It's physically bringing you back to the space. And then also helping you realize like that whatever is going on in your head that's causing you to overreact your anxious mind, like there is a bigger world and there are other things going on. Like it's not imminent danger in your, it's just in your head.
It brings you back to just where you are right now.
Yeah. And it's observation. And I do this a lot in my car. Like when like if I'm really stressed out.
When you start getting like concrete drunk and you just like out the zone and you don't see nothing. You just be driving and shit until you're like, Not me though, but yeah, Carlie, because I be riding with her.
Nah, I'm excellent. But but just bringing you back and helping your awareness. So by bringing yourself physically back to this space and out of your head, it lets you know like, okay, whatever it is happening in my head still may be true. Like the situation still might be happening, but physically I'm safe and I'm okay. And I can work through and process this thing. It doesn't have to overwhelm me.
Yeah, I actually do that a lot and the most when I'm driving, just because I'll use that as time to be present. And it's this weird thing I do where I say, we are all one on the road. Like, and I say that now weird, but like I literally say it like that. Like in my mind, I say, we're all one. So it's like, I scan all our cars around the highway and I'm like, we're all a thing right now. And we're like, stay in sync. Like I feel like that's the vibe I do when I'm driving. And I'm like, this red car, I'm looking at stuff around me and I'm just like focused, like we're all in the same zone.
I like that.
I do that.
I like that.
I feel like we're on like a conveyor belt and it's like, all right, smoothly. All right, transition, move. You know what I mean? And it's like, keep it flowing and like paying attention to like what everybody's doing around.
Yeah, I think if more people thought like that, it would probably be safer to drive anywhere.
Meanwhile, I gotta call AAA every other week when like something happening. So whatever.
But those are some of our favorite techniques. I would love to hear if you have some or if you try these, like let me know what you think. And you don't have to like them. I don't always like all of these techniques.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't think that I think like, oh, I'm gonna do noting right now or this or that. But like I said, like now I'm just not kind of thinking about different times that I do certain things, and it just has become more of a habit to try to just refocus myself on the present situation, essentially, and however that works for you. So out of noting, what was the second one? Noting, body scan, breath work, and observation. let us know. Screenshot this when you get here. We're like 30 to 40 minutes in.
Hey.
Screenshot it. Tell us. Well, give yourself time to do it first. Never mind. Let me fall back. Have some time to try these out. And just see what you like. Let us know if there's something new that you hadn't heard of or that you had never tried before. And if you tried it, and if it was helpful. And like Carlie said, if there's any other techniques, because there are plenty more, that you may use to de-stress, letting us know what those look like. And these are all things where you don't have to have anything else. So it's not like, go get this tool or do anything. But these are just things you can just anytime stop, do, go to the bathroom if you're at work, or like do whatever you got to do. Go to the car, just don't fall asleep, clock back in. But, when you just need to take a second or a minute. Like we mentioned the apps, Calm or Headspace. If you do use any meditation app, you can explore these a lot further in there. If you use those frequently, you probably are very aware of these techniques already. But they will give you kind of guided, meditations and guided animations to understand these techniques and to work through them as well.
Yeah, and remember that the purpose is not so that you feel 100% better after. It's just to help you de-escalate so that you can think a little more clearly and just be present with yourself. You're not always going to feel like $1,000,000 after this, but sometimes you might.
So that's what we have on mindfulness and de-stressing. So we hope you have a very stress-free week, and that if you do feel that you try one of these techniques. This week's shout out goes to South Central Candle Company. I wanted to shout them out because they create candles and they have all different scents, but each one is named after an area of LA. So she has Florence, Vernon, Slauson, Crenshaw, Compton. My favorite one I have right now is Fairfax, Long Beach. She has Crenshaw. And so they all have these different smells. Some smell more manly. One smells just like Fruit Loops. Mine is like toffee vanilla. So whatever you kind of like, you can kind of see like what they smell like. She says what's in them. But I really liked it because it is Black owned, Black and woman owned. And it's in Los Angeles. So if you do have a lot of like LA pride, if you're in the LA area, it's good for gifting to people or just for making your house smell good. My room actually smells pretty good because I accidentally left mine burning yesterday for 6 hours while I was gone. Don't do that.
Glad it didn't burn down.
Right. Because a good thing it's like, it's just like this, not crazy. But yeah, so I really like them. And, I've been trying to make sure I was keeping my space fresh, because air fresheners have like a lot of chemicals and stuff in it too. So I like that. I just wanted a little vibe in my house. And it was so funny that the woman who owns it, Genoa, she DM'd me and was like, hey, I started this and I want you to check it out. So it was perfect timing for me. So congrats. Continue to support. You can go to southcentralcandleco.com to order or check out the candles, or you can follow like on Instagram and check out the scents. It's South Central Can Co. We'll put it in the notes so you can see like how it's spelled because it's shortened. But basically look for South Central Candle Company.
Yeah, so shout out to them. And then we have our question of the week, which is, what does it look like when you're operating in your zone? What that look like?
When I'm operating in my zone, I feel confident and I don't have any doubt because I know exactly what I'm doing and it's just flowing and coming out, whether I'm typing something, speaking something. I just don't have any doubt at that moment when I'm really in my zone.
Yeah, I love that. And you said flowing. I was just going to say it looks...
I'm not stopping. Like, I'm not looking for a distraction, like picking up my phone every 2 seconds when I'm really operating in my zone.
In my zone is flow. It's when I'm 100% in the moment. It's those things that, are, I think, right in alignment with my passions and my purpose. Those things, like when I am fully there, like I don't care about my phone. I don't care what else is going on around me because I'm so in this thing. Like that's what... It just flows. Like I'm fully engaged. I'm energized. I'm excited about it, and I'm there.
Mm-hmm. So get in your zone this week. Come on, get back in the present. So thank you for joining us today. We got a few more interesting new episodes coming up for you. We're gonna switch it up a little bit. And we look forward to you guys continuing to listen and engage us. So hit us up, carliescouch.com, at Carlie's Couch.
Leave us a review.
Lextopia online. Yeah, please leave reviews. We got to go back in, actually, for the next ones and read some.
We have a couple new ones that I like a lot.
So we'll read a couple reviews for the next couple weeks then. We'll try to do that.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good week.
Bye, y'all.